I just screwed it up. She set up this like mirror thing so I can like see Restream over here on an iPad. So it's really cool. The only thing that I have to get used to though is it's like super weird. It's like reverse trying to look at you guys. So if I go right, it goes left. Okay. Cool. It's pretty hard to like see the chat though. What is up, guys? Welcome to another live stream here to answer your guys' questions. Pretty excited to get started here.
Or you turn off your Wi-Fi.
Oops.
Awesome.
We lost Wi-Fi.
I love that.
That's a good start. And I can't.
I think we lost the internet altogether.
Unable to connect.
Yeah,
okay.
I think we lost the internet.
Guys, I think we lost internet.
Oh, okay.
No, we're good. I'm good here. We're good, I think. Are we live still? Yeah, we're good. That thing disconnected though. So guess we're going to have to not do that today. What's going on, everyone? Put in the chat. Say hello. Guys, look at this setup that Deirdre made. How cool is this? Look at this. Hold on. Watch this. All you do, see those lights? There's like a little switch and it makes them like more bright and stuff. Check this out.
Oh, my, come on. Good job.
How cool is that?
That's nuts.
Deirdre did a great job. I'm so pumped about this new setup. She did it all herself. Okay, cool stuff. Guys, can you all hear me, by the way? We had some weird connection thing happen, so I want to make sure we're good. Let me know if you can hear me. What's up, Instagram? Someone says, go Eagles. Yeah, this is in our ear, though. What's up, Luma Blue Glass? All right. First question already in. We already got a question from Wamuel. Asks, if you could do one thing differently in this challenge, what would it be? I do a lot of things different. I'd say, I think I would have stuck with one business from the beginning and maybe not had done e-comm, even though I really want to do e-comm, or just made enough money just do e-comm real quick. I was like all over the place, and it was really, really tough being all over the place in the beginning. And it's really important to just like, if you want to make $1 million in a year, you got to like really be focused on one thing. So that was pretty tough. Then also like what I didn't anticipate is, which is pretty stupid saying this out loud, but like how much time it was going to take to like run the MDC team. So like I was spending 60 hours a week when we first started, like trying to figure out how to do all that. So maybe like bringing on someone that could like really run that would have been helpful. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay. What up? Tom Thompson, what's up, man? What's in store this week? This week, we got a lot going on. I'm excited to tell you guys about. Minus this cool fucking, I'm obsessed with the new setup here that Deirdre put together. It's so cool. Hanging shelves is not fun. Deirdre did it all herself. Someone says his Chase's setup's way too professional for 200 views, under 200 views. Start the challenge in Vegas. That's where the hustlers are. A lot of hustlers in Vegas. I like Vegas. I don't think the entrepreneur, I mean, you're out there. I don't think the entrepreneurial scene's that great. The taxes are good. Rest in peace, CEO of Zappos is out there. Actually, Chase, I don't know if you've been to his I don't know what to call it, like campus. I actually went there a couple of years ago, and it was freaking awesome. So CEO of Zappos guys, which unfortunately recently passed away, incredible guy. He has this really cool campus. Again, don't know what else to call it, but he took this motel. He's invested hundreds of millions of dollars into the city of Vegas. He like took this motel and created this amazing like co-working, co-living space for entrepreneurs and people that worked at Zappos, and it was really cool. I got to go out there. He had like it's not a llama, like an alpaca. I don't know how to say it. Alpaca. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think so.
He had an alpaca that just like hangs out and stuff, and had like live music. It was really. I met him at CES a couple years ago, and it was really really cool.
Is Chase gonna go live
But
today?
Chase, are you coming live today? You still haven't come on here. Deirdre wants you to come live. So yeah, so Vegas. So I don't know much about the scene. From what I've seen is I don't really know. I did have a client actually in Vegas though. One of our bigger clients that we worked with, we built out a platform for a company in Vegas. They were partnered with like a news station. So one of the products I built was actually like all over the news because of the news partnership that they had. So it was kind of cool. So I have been out there a couple times for client meetings. He said next week. All right, next week we're getting you on, Chase. Cool stuff, guys. A lot to update you guys about past week. If you guys do have questions, drop them in the comments. Someone said it is alpaca, so I think I got that right. And said that Tony's work was amazing. That's Zappos CEO. Pretty awesome guy. Someone asks, how's your dad? Dad's doing real well. He's actually been really kicking ass with the chemo treatments. He's on 4 different chemo treatments right now. And, at first, when he first started, he was really tired. And it kind of comes in waves with chemo. But recently, they upped his treatments, and he's doing really great. He's really handling it well, which is really great to see. So thanks for asking that, Joseph. I appreciate it. Hey, man, what's going on? Okay, so let's see. We got a question from Stony. Stony asks, will your Austin roaster be tempted to hire someone to do marketing and sales? Or will it not matter if you execute well? You have your own positioning, and as long as you execute, it doesn't matter. Stony, I don't fully understand the question. If I'm understanding this correctly, though, I think you're asking like, would our roaster try to like compete with us? The answer to that is definitely no. I mean, they could if they really, really wanted to. It'd probably be a pretty bad move. But like growing a business that has a certain brand is very hard. So for them, if the roaster was like, you know what, this is working so well, we want to do the same thing, they would have to go all in on it. Like this is no joke. It is a lot of freaking work. Like unbelievable amount of work to do all this. So if they really wanted to, anyone could do that. We didn't sign any agreements or anything, but I really think it wouldn't be in their best interest. Their best interest is for us to grow together. So I really don't think that, I mean, that's not something I'm worried about. Again, if they were to go do that, then we would probably get a different roaster and then say, let's go. But very unlikely, I think, for someone to try to do that. It's a lot of work and takes an expertise in terms of marketing that you have to build. And if you don't have that, then you can't do it. So like for us, we have the expertise, I'd say, with like the skill set I've built in terms of like understanding how to create content. But in terms of like running Facebook ads, I've never done that before. So I just hired someone, which I'll update you guys on. Just hired someone. She's coaching me. We hired her with the e-com business, and I didn't just hire her to set up the ads. I hired her to coach as we run the ads. So I think this is really important, by the way. Like if there's anything important in your business, I've done this in the past with my other businesses. I like to hire people, not to go, okay, here you go, it's yours now. I like to hire people to set it up, but teach me how they're doing it so I can go do it myself. So in this case, hired someone that is a Facebook ads expert. person works full-time in an agency. She's managed millions and millions of dollars in ad spend, a lot of money, I think like 50 million plus at her company. And she's setting it up together. So I'm like, she's showing me what she's doing. So she's showing me how to set up campaigns. I just installed a Facebook pixel for the first time. I set up the business manager. Now she's like teaching me like how we're going to do these campaigns. And then it's a strategy play with the amount of budget we're working with, which isn't a lot. Like to start off, we're budgeting anywhere from like 1,000 to 3,000 for Facebook ads. So again, if you wanted to go compete with that, you have to learn all these things and then have someone to be able to do that and invest all the time, money into it. And I'm telling you, that's like the front end. There's so much on the back end that we have to do. Let's see. Okay. Someone on Instagram says, hi from Molly. Hey, Molly. Someone on Instagram is trying to be in our live video. Mosin, if you go over to YouTube, we can bring you on live. So go over to YouTube. I'll drop the link for anyone that wants to come on live to ask a question. Let me do that right now. But anyone on Instagram or TikTok, if you want to go live, pop on YouTube and you can come live. Okay. So let's see. Lauren, what's up, Lauren? Asks, I love the rent hack that you've done. What's your thoughts on it being a scalable business of multiple homes across multiple cities? Any immediate downsides you can think of? There's definitely downsides. In terms of it being a scalable business across multiple homes in multiple cities, I absolutely, Lauren, think that that's possible. I don't see why it wouldn't be possible. A good deal is a good deal. In terms of the house that I got in Austin, it's an incredibly good deal. Unbelievably undervalued. Unbelievably. I mean, increased the value of the house almost twofold, right? So unbelievably undervalued. Can definitely do this across multiple cities. Now, the downside, though, there's downsides. I would say if you're going multiple cities, I would want multiple properties in one city first. The reason for that is depending on your approach here. If you're hiring a property, if you're renting to re-rent, then you have a property management company. It might make things a little bit different, but it's nice to have contractors in one city that can take care of things for you. So like if I have 5 properties in Austin, I can hire someone in Austin to take care of all 5 properties. If I have 1 property in Austin, 1 property in Miami, 1 property in Boston, 1 property in Vegas, so we're talking about Vegas here, then I need to have someone in each city kind of like figure things out. Whereas if all 5 were in Austin, you start building this brand in Austin, you start building a talent pool of people that can like do contract work for you. So I would start locally, and then once you hit a certain amount of places, then scale. Now, the next downside, actually acquiring the property, physically buying the property, is much better than renting and re-renting, in my opinion, because you actually own the property and you're gaining equity in the property. The downside is you have to put capital up front, right? You need a down payment. So you have to go get either a money investor if you don't have the capital. There's a lot of responsibility goes into owning a property. So those are some things you have to consider. So downside there is like, if I own this property, let's just do some math here. I'm just going to make up some numbers and just say the house is worth, to make it easy, we'll just say $500,000. So, you know what? I just made it really hard. Let's say $300,000. So property is worth $300,000, right? I have it for 18 months, but let's assume 12. Again, make it easy. 1 year of owning the property would be 1/30th in equity gain on the property, right? So if it's worth $300,000, what's 300,000 over 30? I think it's 10,000. If I'm doing my math right. Yeah. 10,000. So I'd gain $10,000 additional in equity, right? That's $10,000 in equity. And we're not accounting for appreciation, all that stuff. Just gaining that equity over 1 year of ownership, that's an additional 10 grand. So there's a big upside there. I think the real game is in acquiring properties, not just renting and re-renting. Last thing is the control factor. Like your property management company could totally screw you when you're doing the re-renting stuff and whatnot. So, definitely some things to be careful of. So far, it's gone incredibly well. We've got an awesome group of guys in there, and so far things have been pretty decent with the property management company. Some small things I'm not super happy about, but other things have been doing a good job with. Hope that answers your question. Okay, follow-up question from Lauren says, did you consider a coffee business would be better than scaling founders' homes under a brand name? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that.
Like, why do you go all in on coffee rather than
Okay.
more houses?
So I think what you're asking, or at least Deirdre thinks you're asking, why do I think coffee versus scaling houses? Where's my thought process here? The only reason I did the rent hack, guys, literally the only reason, was to show you guys that it's possible to do that and cover your expenses so you can spend the rest of your time and energy on building the business and not on covering your living expenses. So the rent hack, my living expenses are covered. Not only do I have a free room, which, by the way, guys, I'm taking that capital and using it here. Like that $900 a month that I'm now renting my room out, I'm using that to pay for this place. And then on top of the $900 a month for the room, the place cash flows $1,600 a month in profit. So 900 minus 16, you $500. So that $500 is paying for my living expenses. Or sorry, $600. No, $700. Terrible math. That extra $700 is paying for my living expenses. Now I got a credit partner for the purpose of the project, and 20% of that $1,600 will go to him, so minus $300. So we'll just make it easy, call it $400. So again, what's cool is that not only are my living, it pretty much covers all my living. So then you don't have to be like, I need to do this to work, focus on my business. You can solely, 18 months, I could just solely focus on the business. It's the only reason I did it. I think it's super, 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 super important to be focused. So like it's important to just be focused on one thing that you really want to scale to the moon. And for that reason, I wouldn't try to go acquire a bunch of properties. Unless like you just love it so much that you have to be doing like 2-3 things at the same time. It is really good to be focused. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's see here. Okay. One second here. Okay, so someone asks, Tom asks, what's up, Tom? Tom asks, how did you find her? How does her pay structure work? Okay, so Tom is asking about the Facebook ads lady that I hired. She's awesome, incredible. Found her on Upwork. I just pay her on Upwork, and it's an hourly rate. So I pay her hourly, and it's a very good price for her level of skill set. She's very senior. We're paying her like 45 an hour, something like that, around there. So we just do it by the hour. There's a lot of people in the Facebook ads world that will pitch you monthly retainers, which I totally understand. They're building an agency, pitch monthly retainers. That's the way to go. But we wanted someone that would work with us on an hourly basis that could coach us. So we could be a little bit more hands-on, and got a really good hire through the door, which, by the way, there was 2 people. She was one of them. And there was another guy who did an incredible job that we were like, we could choose either of these and these people and be very happy. So you can definitely find it. What's important though, Tom, is if you're hiring someone to help you with Facebook ads, validate. I've never run Facebook ads. So what I had to do was I had to validate, are they good? So you have to think through that, right? How do you validate if someone's good? Well, I would assume if someone has a lot of experience doing it, then they're probably good. So what I want to know is how much ad spend under management do you have this past in 2020? Do you have 200K in ad spend under management? Do you have 20 million in ad spend under management? What does that look like? The second thing I want to know is like e-comm brands. What are some e-comm brands you worked with? What does that look like in terms of ROAS? What's the ROAS you're getting for your biggest e-comm brand that you work with? Return on ad spend. So if they spend $1, do they make 3 back? Do they make 4 back on average? Do they make 1 back on average? That's important. So like the ROAS and the know-how of the e-comm world. And then the last thing I ask is like strategy-wise. Like, okay, day one, how are we taking this brand to $1 million company? What would you do on day one? And walk me through your strategy. So then I get to see like, do they really understand the technical know-how of e-comm? Do I like their strategy and approach? I get to see how they think. That's how I went about vetting. But found her on Upwork. Simone, what's going on? Simone says hi. Lauren says thanks. Of course, Lauren. If you guys have more questions, drop them here. Again, someone keeps trying to go live with me on Instagram. Rita, if you want to go live, you got to go over to our YouTube channel. I dropped the link for anyone that wants to go live. There we go. TikTok, what's up? Got some questions here on TikTok. So let me get to those. Someone's asking, like, what's someone making $45 an hour from someone we hired to do Facebook ads for us. If you're curious, you're like, wow, 45 hours a lot. Start learning Facebook ads. You can start charging those types of rates. You're good, Rita. Okay, so let's see. We do have some questions that came through, I believe. Okay. So that's pretty much all the questions on Insta and these other platforms here. So I'll talk about, if you do have more questions, drop chat. The past week, New Year's, almost forgot. New Year's was a couple days ago. So I can kind of walk you guys through some of the things I did for New Year's. I do every year. I've been doing this since 2017, by the way. Hope you all had an amazing New Year. So for New Year's, I like to reflect on what went well the past year, what didn't go so well, what are the mistakes that I made, what are things I can do better in the next year, what did I do really well? Like, what are some things I think I did really well that I'm proud of? Again, I've been doing this since 2017. I'm not a big New Year's resolution type person. I think that's the statistics say if you're making New Year's resolutions, you're not going to stick to it. That's just the statistics. I don't make New Year's resolutions. What I do instead is like I said, I look at what worked last year, what didn't work, what's like something I should really focus on to do better next year. So there's a lot of things that I was happy about. There's some things I definitely can improve on. But again, I've been doing this since 2017, and I just made a post about this on Instagram. I kind of want to pull up Instagram, but I can't because then it'll kick you guys off. And pretty much when I'm going about doing this, the reason I like to see what did I do well is to really analyze and try to be as self-awareness is so important. Really try to realize, like, what am I really good at and what am I really bad at? What do I totally suck at? And can I maybe improve on some of those things? Maybe not. Maybe I can't at all. Maybe I have to either hire people for that, or if it's something that's like a big problem, maybe I really have to work on it. So some things I really want to do better, I'd say like the biggest at the top of my list in terms of regards to running businesses is I do want to be more structural with my time and get better at managing my time, because it's I've never had to deal with so many things at once. It's really tough. Like Toll Media, MDC project, e-comm business, e-comm house, marketing clients. Like it's a lot, and you need to be structured. So that's something I need to do better this year, and I'm going to be working on. In terms of things that I was like really pumped about, is like just doing. There's a lot of it's cool because like if you guys do this every year and you write it down, it's nice to be able to go back and look and be like, wow, these things I just totally missed the boat on, never accomplished, and these other things I did. And for me, like one of the things I really wanted to get good at was creating content, which I feel like I really understand very well at a high level now after doing this project. And then another thing was like I always wanted to really understand paid media, which I'm going to get through running the e-comm business. So pretty excited for 2021. Okay, cool. It looks like Motion made it to the live stream here, so I'm about to bring you live, my man. Let's do it. What's going on? How you doing? I don't think you can hear us. You hear me? Nope. I don't know if it. Oh, his internet's bad.
No, I think it just worked.
Did it work? Let's try it again. Motion, can you hear me?
Well, thank you, Mike Black. I've seen your progress on. I can hear you well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think the connection's a little
Can you hear me?
laggy, but how's it going, man?
Oh my God.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you well. Can you hear me?
Okay, cool. How's it going, man? Yeah, we're a little bit too laggy, man. I'm gonna pop you off for now. If you can get better
Yeah,
internet connection.
that's my problem. I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you can maybe move somewhere better.
Let me try the voice on. Okay. I can hear you well.
Okay, cool. What's going on, man? How you doing? I'm gonna have to pop you out. I apologize. Internet stuff. Machine, and I hope I'm saying that right. If you could go somewhere that has better internet and then just shoot me a message, we can bring you back in. So just shoot me a message, Machine, and let me know if your internet's back to snuff. Okay, so let's see questions here. Connor said, "Did you see my idea about putting the pictures of people's dogs that are on the monthly thing on the bag or box?" Yeah, Connor, super cool idea. We're actually doing something very similar to that. So I appreciate I appreciate you sharing that. Let's see. Sunny asked, "Do you have any big business dreams like decades out?" So Sunny, this is a really good question. I think a lot of people ask, a lot of people like think about this and they want to think really long term, which I think is important. So whenever I break these down, we go a little more in depth here. When I'm breaking down what I want from the next year, I always start by envisioning what does the ideal lifestyle look like? What does the ideal life look like for me? What do I really want to be doing? What would bring me the most happiness? And again, this is something that you have to work on year after year after year because it might change. But it's really important to go, okay, what would bring me the most happiness? The more self-aware you are, the more you're going to understand that. And, it takes work to really create that self-awareness. So I think like for me, I envision that, I think about that, and then at a very high level, and then I go, okay, that's cool. If I want that type of lifestyle, if I want to be working on these things, if I want to do this. And it's a sphere of things, by the way, guys. It's like, where do I want what do I want in terms of health? What do I want in terms of network? What do I want in terms of impact? What do I want in terms of the things that I'm working on, the things that I'm learning? What type of a lot of you guys watching, what type of lifestyle do I want in terms of what work-life balance? For me, I want to work as many hours a week as possible right now because I'm obsessed with growing. If I didn't care about growing right now, I'd be opposite on that. I'd probably want, unless impact is at the very top of the list. If you want to make the most impact, you got to put a lot of work in, right? The more work you put in, the more impact you can make. But if you're just like, I just want to live on a beach and do all that, then like the goal's switched and it becomes a financial thing. So then it's like, okay, well, if I need to make the most money spending the least amount of time, how does that look? How do I reverse engineer that? So it's a reverse engineering game. In terms of like a decades type of goal, I don't really have decades type of goal. It's just like constantly chasing whatever happiness looks like. Notice I didn't say money, chasing whatever happiness looks like. So think about that. If you're in the same situation where you want to kind of plan these types of things out, think about what would make you the most happy and actually envision the situation. Envision just living on a beach and just doing XYZ. Does that feel happy? Waking up every day, you barely work, you just hang out on a beach? That sounds good to you? Great. Figure out how to set that up. If Deirdre says sounds good to her. That sounds terrible to me, by the way. If like waking up every day and like being the head of some form of a nonprofit or some form of an initiative that makes some form of impact that you want to work on, and maybe that's all you do and you're obsessed with, great. How do you make that happen? If like you want some form of balance, great. How do you make that happen? So think about those things. Actually envision the actual situation. How does that make you feel? So I think like really reverse engineering that. Mo says his internet was out. It's all good, man. If you can figure out the internet situation, we can bring you back on. Jared says Indistractable by Nair Isle has some great tips for getting your focus and schedule streamlined. Thanks for the recommendation, Jared. Never heard of that one, so I'll have to check that out. Nair Isle. Kind of want to look up who Nair Isle is now. By the way, I always look people up. Like, is this just some fucker that like hasn't done shit with his life that's telling people how to do stuff, or is this some guy that like has done some pretty cool shit? I think it's really important. Like, really, I used to not do that. I don't really read that many books now, but back when I used to read a lot of books, it would just be like, okay, that was a good book, and then it's important to actually, does this person know what they're talking about? So what I'll do is I'll go look this guy up on LinkedIn. He looks like he's a time management guy, so I guess he does know a lot about time management. What have you done, Nair? He's a lecturer in marketing. Don't love that. Okay, CEO of a couple companies. Went to Stanford, MBA. Probably a smart guy. Oh, he worked at BCG. Game over. I like Nair. Nair's legit, guys. I mean, BCG is one of the hardest places to get a consulting. By the way, guys, it's so closely correlated with entrepreneurship because you're just problem solving for big companies, big problems versus like whatever you're trying to build. So, Nair Isle passes the test. I like this guy. I like the resume, Nair. All right, cool stuff. So we got Nico DuPont. What's up, man? We got people joining on Instagram. Someone asks, are you drop shipping? Nope, we don't drop ship. We might drop ship stuff though. So like a lot of people, when it comes to drop shipping, they like, it's like, all right, drop ship. Like, understand drop shipping is like you're still selling product, right? You just don't have the actual inventory. You pay a premium for it. You sell it. The way I look at drop shipping is a little different. The way I look at it is like we have an actual brand we're trying to build, not just drop ship crap and make money. We want to build a real brand, but we can start introducing products that we drop ship to start. And then once we have enough customer base, we can actually start, we'll call it wholesale it, bring the inventory in house. For example, we start selling coffee mugs and we're like, well, we don't like want to hold inventory and drop $1,000 on inventory, $5,000 on inventory, whatever it would cost. Why don't we just drop ship to start? And then once we have enough orders, then we'll in-house the product. It's a great way to test certain things, see like, will this convert well with ads? If it is converting well with ads, then you go and maybe wholesale the product. So that's how I look at drop shipping. There's a lot of people that run drop shipping businesses specifically that do pretty well. So consider those things. Okay, someone asks, let's see. Sanaya asks, do I need to be a subject matter expert in a service business to start one? Absolutely not. Sanaya, you can, I have a totally free course just to help everyone out. There's no upsells. Open Agency Accelerator. Go to my Instagram, click the link tree, and I show you how to. I built a 7-figure business with my product development agency. I've never written a line of code, so I show you exactly how to do that without being necessarily the subject matter expert. I do recommend becoming the subject matter expert or partnering with someone or hiring someone that's very senior to be the subject matter expert, but you definitely don't need to do things like know how to code to start a development agency. Okay. I see motion. I guess you go by Mo. I see Mo is back in here. I'll bring you on in a sec, Mo. Okay, we got another question. I'm doing this is Sunny, who's come on the live stream a couple times, is a guest. I'm moving away from doing free work and focusing on paid coaching clients after a free consultation. The first person I asked to pay happily agreed to $300 a month. Fuck yeah, Sunny. So pumped for you. But wanted a couple days to think. On Tuesday, we are talking again to finalize. He seemed very interested last time, but any tips on closing? Yes. So, Sunny, moving forward is really important. Always create time sensitivity. Always create time sensitivity, because if you give people too long to think about it, that creates a conversion of people saying no. So you want to create a time sensitive offer in some way, shape, or form. And there's a lot of ways to do this. One of the things you could have done, Sunny, is been like, hey, look, I only have so much slots open to do this coaching. I have a list of people that I just decided that I'm going to invite to it. You're one of the first people, but I'm only filling 3 slots. And I'm expecting to be filled by Sunday. So if you're interested, let me know by Sunday. That's one thing you could do. Again, creates time sensitivity, because and it's hard to envision this if you're the one making the offer. Think about the vice versa. If you really wanted to hire someone, you're like, I don't know, this guy's going to help you with scaling your agency, Sunny, and he's going to charge you $300 a month to get more clients. And you like the person, and they're like, you have until tomorrow or 2 days or 3 days, and then we're cutting it off pretty much. It'll be full. You're going to be more likely to take action more quickly. You don't have to sit there, or you don't have the time to necessarily drag it out. So that's one way to create time sensitivity. Another way to create time sensitivity is to actually offer some form of a discount. A lot of companies do this. A lot of agencies may or may not do this, but let's say you wanted it. This all depends. Like, how quickly do you want them to close? If you want to give them just a week, if you want to give them 3 days, hey, just so you know, we're running a discount on the next 3 customers that sign. It ends on January 7th. So if you do want to work together, 10% discount, you sign by January 7th. Just an example. You can figure out what that offer looks like. Another thing you can do is also offer a discount for retainers. So if I were you, Sonny, I'd want to close a 6-month agreement. So maybe give a certain discount for the person to sign a 6-month agreement. That's something I'd be thinking about as well. Hopefully that's helpful. Okay, cool. So Mo, we're going to try this again. What's going on, Mo? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well. Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah, I made a mistake. I had my earphones on, and I was listening it from live of YouTube. So that was
All good, man.
that was delayed.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit delayed, but yeah, what can I help you with?
I've seen your progress, and it's really inspiring. I live in Somalia, third world, and my problem is I'm starting from zero, and most of our community don't even understand what's digital marketing. So I'm good at digital marketing. I do have skills, and they don't even understand. So I'm missing some basic things, some basic opportunities. You did have courageous. You flipped couch when you started, and that was a good way to start. here we don't have so much opportunities like that. So that's the question. I'm so confused. I don't know the motivation. And the next thing is when starts making some income. My next plan is to start a dropshipping business and or a Amazon FBA. So do you think is it worth in 2020 to 2021 to start that business from Africa?
Definitely. So those are good questions. So the first thing I'll address is just being in Somalia. Definitely have additional adversity than being in the States for sure. Totally understand where you're coming from there. So the way I'll answer this is if I was in the same situation where I'm in Somalia, don't necessarily have certain things in the US, I would want to work with countries where the money is. So if like you work with countries like US clients, if you work with countries like UK clients, like maybe Australia clients, that'd be really ideal. I think what I would do personally is service business right off the bat. I'd be on Upwork.com. I'd create a skill set doing something where I could make a certain dollar on my time, whether that is learning Facebook ads, whether that's getting really good at building Shopify stores, whether that is learning how to code, which takes a little bit more time. I would definitely start a service business and become a freelancer. First thing I do right out the gate. What you can also do is find people that already know those things and create a team that can fulfill that work, that are overseas, maybe in Somalia or in countries in the same region, or they don't even have to be. They could be a team in South America. Really depends on what you're trying to do here. But I would just look at the things that I really enjoy, look at the things that I really excel at, and then I'd pick something and go with it. And I would be smart about it. I'd think about like, okay, what's really hot right now? What's working? What are people spending money on right now? What is an uptrend versus a downtrend? Like just talking about like Facebook ads, for example, or sorry, development, for example. I wouldn't start building people sites in like Magento necessarily because that's something that's dying. I wouldn't be learning Ruby on Rails because that's a language that's dying, but I would be looking into maybe blockchain development, or I would be looking into Shopify because Shopify, as of right now, is the future. So I'd figure out what are those uptrends. I'd gain expertise in that. I'd start getting clients on Upwork, and I'd start maybe building a small team of people that can fulfill the work and figure out what your value prop is, which for us at Told Media, which you could do the same, is build better software for less. We have a team in South America, and that's the way we position our contracts is we have someone on a US team kind of oversee the project. We have someone very senior on our Colombia team, develop code, depending on how many people are on the project. And instead of paying a US developer 100 an hour, you're really paying this blended rate that's closer to like 50 an hour, and you get the same level of talent. So then you can figure out how to set something up like that with Shopify, creating Shopify stores. Again, like for me, when I just hired someone for Facebook ads, I don't care where the person's located. I could care less. I just want to know, can I hire the best person for the job? What's it going to cost? What does that look like? So if you had come to me and let's say this person in the US is offering 45 an hour, she has a really good resume, background, et cetera, you have to be able to compete with that. So on your end, if you have the same exact resume, et cetera, but you're overseas, you're going to have to charge a little bit less because people are going to want to work with someone that speaks their same native language, is in the same area. So that's where you might have to compete though. And if you're getting talent in Somalia, you can charge less rates, but still make a lot bigger margins. So those are some things I consider. The second part of the question, I actually don't remember. Did that answer the first part?
Yeah, that helped me well. That helped me well.
What are you good at? Is there anything that like you love doing? Like, do you like love marketing? Do you love building stuff?
I love marketing. I'm good at graphic design, website development, and digital marketing. So it feels like I should try that one you said. But the second question was do drop shipping in 2021 worth my time?
Oh, great question.
If some, yeah.
Great question. So if you look at, I would look at this a little bit differently, but if you look at 2021, 2022, 3, 4, 5, 2030, like e-commerce is only going to grow, right? So to answer your question, I definitely think getting into e-commerce now is still a great thing to do. I think it'll always be a great thing to do. That's how people buy things. I wouldn't say like drop shipping versus Amazon versus this versus that. I think it's when you're building a drop shipping's great to get in the game with very little money, right? It's a great way to learn the game. It's a great way to not have to deal with fulfillment and all that crap, but learn how to run Facebook ads profitably, learn how to build a store, learn how to build a Shopify store, learn how to build an Amazon storefront, learn how to maybe sell on a platform like Etsy. It's a great way to do all those things. Learn email marketing. Great way to do all those things. You're going to just, the only difference between drop shipping and not drop shipping is your margins are lower, but the cost benefit there is you don't have to deal with fulfillment. Fulfillment's a bitch. So if you actually start a drop shipping store and you start making some money and you decide to actually start doing the fulfillment yourself, now you get this extra layer that you get to learn in terms of fulfillment and you get to make higher margin for it. So I think if you're going to get into e-com, the key to building a successful e-com store is not like looking at like from like drop shipping or like Amazon. It's important to focus on one thing though. So like if you can just focus on just building an Amazon store or just building a Shopify store, that's really good. I think what it is though is like at the top level, figuring out what are you selling, who are you selling it to? Like what is the market? That's where you need to start. Like if you have some ideas of like markets you love, for us it's dog lovers. For someone else, it might be people that a company that I really look up to, their whole market is people who love America. That's their target market. They're one of the biggest coffee sellers, D2C in the US. I think they might actually be the biggest D2C, direct to consumer in the US. They sell coffee for people who love America. They're a company for people who love America. They just happen to sell coffee. So in your case, figure out the top level, who are you selling to and what is your mission? And you know, I don't have advice necessarily how to go about figuring those things out because I'm by no means an expert at it. But what I can tell you is start with the things that you're passionate about. If you're super passionate about certain things, it's going to be a lot more fun to build a company around it.
I want to thank you for the time, and I will stick to the end of your journey. Last week, I asked you if you can make a documentary about this journey, and after trying to watch so many, all your videos, I thought that's better than one documentary video. So it's going to be good, and I want to thank you for your time.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mo. You have me on Instagram, so if you ever have questions, just shoot me a DM. Happy to be helpful.
Yeah, did you say you have a course on Instagram?
Yeah, so if you go to my Instagram, you click the link tree. I have it's called the Open Agency Accelerator. Show you how to build an agency from 0 to 1 million and totally free. There's no upsells, just want to help. So it breaks down everything step by step. So go check that out if you're trying to start a small agency, even if you're trying to freelance. I break down exactly how we built Told Media. So check it out.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you. It's going to be good.
Best of luck, Mo. Thanks for hopping on.
Bye-bye.
All right. Some serious adversity being overseas and living. I don't know if he said Somalia is a third world country. That is tough. Like if you're sitting in America right now and you have any excuses, go to Somalia. Makes it a lot tougher. So I appreciate you, Mo, for having that grind, that hustle. All right, cool stuff. Let's see. We got some more questions to get to. Okay, I think we got everything on Instagram. Cool. Okay. Sunny says that I think one of the easiest, simplest, low logistics and low cost businesses for beginners is to sell a digital product. I agree with that. a PDF video series, Slack community video, conference calls, etc. There's pros and cons of that, right? So it's very easy, low logistics, low cost for sure. You definitely want to have some form of like major niche advantage that you have if you're doing that type of stuff, I think. So like if you're really, 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 really good at something, it's awesome to do that because you don't have to deal with like product and inventory management. But you get to learn Facebook ads, you get to learn some things about running a business like marketing. I don't know. There's certain things you don't get to learn in that. I guess you still. I was gonna say hiring, but I don't know how much. I guess you'd hire contributors to maybe do some like design work and like help you with maybe like funnel building and that type of stuff. So still get to learn some pretty cool things. All right. What other questions do you guys have? We got 8 more minutes here. 8 more minutes till we pop out. Let's see. Could you share the idea? Okay, so someone asked, could you share the idea of the TikTok that got 150,000 views? Okay, so I don't fully understand the exact question here, but I'll explain what we did with the first iteration of what we posted on TikTok, and more importantly, how to go about posting content on TikTok. TikTok is really interesting. I'm constantly learning more and more about TikTok. They evolve their algorithm over time. And like I have my marketing client, I manage his TikTok. And what I realized, which is really crazy, and I'll answer your question in a second, but TikTok can be so crazy. Like I was analyzing his account. And what I did is I took all his videos and I put it in an Excel sheet pretty much. And I looked at the views compared to the engagement rates. So how many comments did he get? Is a ratio to the views. How many likes? How many shares? What was the watch time percentage? I looked at all these for all his videos. When I noticed his second most watched video, his second most viral video, had horrible numbers across the board. The engagement rate was terrible on likes, on comments, on shares, on watch time. Everything was bad. But that video had the most hashtags. Now, I'm not sitting here saying everyone just like blow out your hashtags, but the next iteration of posts for the next month for him, we're blowing out hashtags. We're just going to go crazy with the hashtags. Every single video that I made for his TikTok, which by the way, guys, I do everything in advance. So all his videos are scheduled out actually for the next 2 weeks because he didn't get me enough content for the next month, but it's all scheduled out. And I did the max amount of hashtags. I capped it out. So it'll be a fun test to run. Now, with that being said, it's important constantly be testing, constantly learning. If you have an idea for some types of content you want to create, test it, see how it does. If you want to do it well on TikTok, here's where you need to start. Very high level. Where do you add the most value? Where are you going to sit in the sphere of content that's being created on TikTok? Like, why are people going to go to your page? And that's really, easy to answer if you kind of know what you're passionate about, how you add the most value and stick to that, right? And then as you go, you can change things. It's okay to do that. Figure out where you add the most value. Like for example, if I really wanted to become like a TikTok influencer and I wanted to be like an e-commerce influencer, I almost definitely wouldn't be like an e-comm guy. I would probably be like, I don't know, a TikTok ads guy for e-comm, or like paid media buying for e-comm, or like the Amazon guy for e-comm, or I would be the e-comm guy, but with like a twist. Like maybe I'm like the funny e-comm guy, and like I try to make my videos funny. So like figure out how you're different, where you add value, and just like I'd look and be like, where do I add the most value? That's what I'm going to do. What do I like talking about the most? That's what I'm going to do. Then you need to understand how TikTok works. Like first 3 seconds, you got to catch attention. It's good to shoot in good lighting. It's good to shoot on like decent quality, okay quality video. You don't want really poor quality. You have to learn how to story tell. You want the videos to be as quick and to the point as possible. You don't want things to drag too long unless you're using a strategy to drag on a video to get higher watch time. So just start, if you're trying to get started with TikTok, Connor, just start watching videos and see what works. That one that that got 150,000 views, we actually didn't know it was going to do that well necessarily. We could tell very quickly once it was made, though, that it was going to do well. But we just told the actual mission of the company, the actual story of the company, and people resonated with it. So hope that's helpful. Let's see. Jared asks. Okay, Jared asks, on the parking app, did you develop that yourself via Bubble, or did you hire a Bubble.io contractor / agency to build it? So the parking app I developed was built with real code. It wasn't built with Bubble. So, Jared, I don't know if like you saw any of my other content or stuff, but I'm a huge fan of Bubble, so I'm sure that's why you're bringing that up. Guys, I don't talk about this a lot on this channel, but I run a software development agency. I've started a couple tech companies. That's my forte, is what's called product development, developing mobile and web apps. So the parking app that Jared's referring to is called Parking Bee. We also built a product called Mapify. Parking Bee was a mobile app on iOS. I think we built React Native, so it was on iOS and Android. This was years ago. And then we also had the web platform. And then the Mapify was our SaaS platform that was built in React and React Native. It was a app we built for government agencies. So we had a couple government contracts where we signed a contract. We built a software for them to map out all their parking. And when they'd create like geofences and they'd update the data, it would update on their own white labeled mobile app for people to use on iOS and Android. Jared, though, is asking about Bubble. And I did build a tech product using Bubble. And I cannot recommend Bubble enough. With all the clients we work with and all the people that have come through our business and asked for development help, I always try to figure out what's the quickest, easiest, most affordable way to build this. And a lot of times it's using something called Bubble.io. There's a product I built that I believe Jared's referring to called We Are Talent. It was a talent platform that connected recruiters. It was a cool idea. Pretty much the way it works is let's say a recruiter, if you guys know the recruiting world, recruiters, they typically get a 20% fee for placing someone at a job. So recruiter A, Facebook hires recruiter A. They're like, recruiter A, I'll give you 20% if you find me a senior software engineer that we're paying $150K a year. So that recruiter goes and finds that senior software engineer and Facebook hires them for $150K. That person will get a $30,000 payday. So recruiter A gets hired by Facebook. But unfortunately, recruiter A doesn't have anyone in his network that will fit that job description. So he goes and talks to recruiter B and says, recruiter B, if you send me the right person, Facebook hires them, we'll split the commission 50-50. So I'll get 10%, you get 10%. That's what I was building with We Are Talent, partnering with a total scumbag. And the whole other story, but I built the entire platform, whole thing, in about a week. I hired a Bubble developer on Upwork, cost me $1,500, had the entire thing built out and launched in 1 week. And then I signed up over 100 recruiters to the platform. And if I were to develop this in-house with my development team in Colombia, it would have probably taken like 3 to 4 months and probably would have cost me out of my own pocket, about $40,000 to $60,000 to build the same thing. So if you guys are looking to develop an app, look into Bubble. I highly recommend hiring a Bubble developer. Do not learn it yourself unless you really want to. If you're trying to move quickly, which I was trying to do, hired someone that knew how to do that, because you do have to. There's a learning curve on the Bubble platform. All right, so we're a little bit past time, so I'm going to get to the last couple questions here. Jared asked, curious about when you needed to speed up development and cut costs. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Jared. Again, you can develop significantly faster as long as the use case works. So some use cases don't work, but a lot of times the use case does work. Now, here's what you do next. You build it on Bubble, you get it out as quickly as possible. People start using the platform. And then you know exactly what to build next. People are like, hey, we want this, we want this, we want this, or we're not even leveraging this, we don't like this. And all these assumptions you have become validated in some way, shape, or form, or they don't. Some of them might not. But then when you actually build the real product, you know what to build. And then that next iteration, you still don't build the perfect thing when you use real code. You don't have to do that necessarily yet. You can use like a backend like Firebase to cut costs significantly, where you're not using a server. You don't have to do too much backend development, and it's just front end development, so it's significantly less money. So you always want to be like conscious about like speed and how much capital. And once you hit a certain point where you can't scale anymore, that's when you start spending more money on developing, things out, we'll say, the right way in terms of from a technical development standpoint. The last thing I'll say, Jared, is if you or anyone watching, if you want to me to connect you with my bubble guy, his name's Peng, hit me up. I'll introduce you guys through email. He's awesome. He did all of our stuff. Okay, so these are the last questions. Connor, you get the last question, unless there's one. Yeah, Connor, you got the last question here. So last question of the day, and then we're wrapping up. Connor asks, if somebody wants to buy a company, should you sell or hold off? Super hard to answer that, Connor. It really depends, right? So I'm sorry, I can't answer that. In terms of like directly, I'll make some assumptions. If someone approaches you and they're like, hey, I want to buy your company, if this happened to me, the first thing I would do is I would entertain the offer. I would talk to a valuations expert. Valuations expert is someone who evaluates companies, and have them figure out what you're worth. So what they'll look at is a couple things. The biggest thing being like what types of IP do you own? Where's the brand stand? And then the biggest thing being your financials, cash flow. What does cash flow look like? What does revenue look like? They'll put a multiple on it. So if you're a software company, you're going to get a multiple typically on revenue, sometimes on profit. It's going to be a higher multiple if you're a software company. If the company's generating $100,000 a year in profit, a lot of times it's like a 3x, but it really depends on the business. They'll look at how long have you been in business? What does your customer list look like? Again, what type of like IP or like assets do you have outside of just the things you own? Like an asset, for example, could be a printer, right? Like if you're doing or a coffee roaster, let's say you own upright a $30,000 coffee roaster. That's an asset you paid $30K for. Maybe now it's worth $25,000. That goes into the valuation. But also you might own an asset like an email list. How much is that email list worth? You break down everything, go asset, asset, asset. Here's the valuation on all these things. Again, then you can kind of see. A lot of times what people do is also look at when you're getting to bigger valuations, like big companies, you look at what are called future cash flows. You do a discounted cash flow model to try to figure out valuation stuff. So it's a mix of the future cash flows as well as looking at the balance sheet. What type of debt does the company have? That might go against you. So you have to look at that as well. So answer the question, I would figure out what is the company actually worth. And then I dig internally and go, what do I think could potentially be worth in a couple of years, being realistic. And then I want way more than one offer. I would never want to just accept one offer. So I'd reach out to a bunch of people and say, hey, I'm looking for an acquisition here. I'd reach out to private equity. I'd reach out to people that could be a potential competitor, a potential acquisition. And I'd try to get a couple different offers. And then I would probably just go with the highest one, depending on the business. So hopefully that answers your question there, Connor. But that is about it. We're about out of time here. If you have additional questions, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram at Mike Black. Thank you all so much for joining. Hopefully this was helpful in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully you guys love the new setup. I don't know how you can't. Deirdre crushed it with this new setup here. And until next time, I will see you all in next week's live stream. Go crush it this week.